some men aren't ready for what you have to offer. And that unfortunate reality leads to situations where you could meet a man, things can be going really, really well. At least you feel they're going really, really well. And then all of a sudden he disappears. Or maybe not disappears, but he starts to fall back. He starts to decrease his effort. He's not showing you the things he was showing you in the beginning. And it can lead to your frustration, confusion, hurt, and unfortunately damage. And I want to help bring clarity to you so that you don't experience all those negative things and so that you better understand why some of these situations happen. Now, let me make clear, I'm not validating the actions that some of these men are taking. I'm explaining them so that you don't internalize these experiences to the point where you start to question your worth, or you start to become so frustrated with dating as a whole that now you don't put yourself out there, because that can lead to you missing out on a good thing coming around, a good man who will be ready for you. So let's talk about this whole, him pulling away when things seem to be going great. Well, one of the reasons why that happens is because there was chemistry, but not connection. So I have to start here because any one of you who've seen my previous videos, or enough of them, then you know I'm big on connection, all right? And chemistry and connection, two different things. Now, I broke this down in a different video, but I'll give a quick little rundown. Chemistry is two people being able to get along, flow with each other, enjoy each other's company, things of that nature. Chemistry is definitely important and needed to have a successful relationship. However, chemistry can be very fluid, meaning you can create it, you can destroy it, all right? So essentially think about like team building exercises at work. You can help a team come together through certain exercises, learn how to work together, learn how to flow together, so to speak. However, if someone on that team does something wrong, you can destroy the chemistry that was built. Same thing happens in sports teams. So chemistry, due to it being very fluid, is not the biggest factor in determining can you be with this person, which leads to why you will see sometimes a man can meet a woman, get along with that woman, think she's a great woman, but that it factor's not there. That next level's not there. And what that is that connection's not there. Now, again, to some of you that might be really confusing, like, how could we get along? There is attraction, but that's not enough. Well, think about you for a second. Think about your own experiences where you may have met a man, and maybe not all you have experienced this, but some of you may have met a man. He seemed great, good looking, nice guy, so much going for him, but you just weren't feeling it. It just wasn't there. It wasn't him being anything bad or wrong. It just wasn't the right fit. All right. Now, some of you, unfortunately, may still try to convince yourself to move past that limitation, move past that thing that's missing and say, well, this is too good to pass up. I'm going to keep pushing through. Maybe I won't have an opportunity like this again. A lot of women think like that, unfortunately. But that doesn't make it the right thing to do. It doesn't make it the healthy thing to do. And what I've noticed is men tend to be more of a stickler for that. All right. Men, especially if he's a man who has options. And I don't say that to again, put him on a pedestal to where you think, again, you're not good enough. No. It just means that he doesn't have the mindset of, oh my gosh, if I don't snatch up this woman, nothing else good will come around. He knows that there's other good women out there, but he needs that next level, that connection to be there. Now, I didn't give any information on connection, so real quick, for me, connection it's something deeper than chemistry, way deeper. It's beneath the surface. It's in my opinion, your spirit recognizing its match. And it's something that it's just there. Connection cannot be created nor destroyed. It's either there or it's not. It's this natural thing where y'all just click. Like, you'll have people, they experience this connection, and for whatever reason, let's say they fall apart. And then years later, they can meet up again, talk, and it's like they never stopped talking. that connection is just naturally there, and it's something very amazing once you experience it. Anyways, the point here is that the man could have identified you as someone great, could really like you, genuinely like you, but doesn't feel like that next level is there. And sometimes maybe it's not connection. It might be something small here and there that makes him feel like, okay, though I enjoy this woman and think she's awesome, this little thing here is enough to make me feel like this isn't going to work in the long term. Now, I know you might be thinking, well, why can't the man just say that? Why can't he just express that, it's not there, or he doesn't feel like you're the one? Well, the unfortunate reality is that it's hard for a lot of individuals to be that straightforward about a lack of that level of interest, so to speak. And it's always even harder when you actually are such a great woman, because it's way easier if there's like, you guys got into arguments and it's just like, you don't get along. It's easier than say, okay, well, I'm not feeling you. This isn't going to work. End the story. But when this person is like, wow, I like them. I get along with them. There's so many amazing things to them. It's hard to still say to them, but you're still not it. All right. Again, that doesn't make it okay, but it is what happens. And one thing I want you to understand as we continue along with this list is that though it may hurt, it is a blessing that this person walks away, because the last thing you want is an individual holding on to you who is not truly into you, who is not truly prepared to be the man that you need, who does not view you truly as the woman that he can share his life with. You don't want an individual holding on to you just because you offer good things. You want an individual holding on because they believe that they want to pour into you what you need, and that they can be happy with what you are able to pour back into them. That's what we really want to strive for. So it sucks, but a lot of times it's what's best. So now we move on to number 2. And another reason why men pull away while things are going great is because what's required of him is more than he wants to give. So let me give you an example. Let's say you guys meet, and let's say you guys meet online. All right. No, let's add more to the story. Let's say you guys meet from being out of town. Let's say he was in your town for whatever reason. You guys meet while you're out. You go on a date while he's in your town. Everything is great and is awesome. And now he has to go back to his city. And maybe at first he's trying to keep it up. He's communicating with you. He wants to make plans to see you, things of that nature. But the reality is that he starts to realize, or more so, he starts to accept the fact that he is unwilling or unprepared to give the time and attention required in a situation like this, specifically long distance. All right. Now, I'm using long distance as an example, but the principle remains the same, even if it wasn't long distance. Sometimes that man just feels like, what I'm going to have to pour into this woman right now, I am either unable or unwilling to do. Reasons could vary from, I have too much going on in life in general. It could be, I'm very focused on my work and career right now. For some men, it could be a conflict of, do I still want to enjoy trying to be a single man, or do I really want to completely commit to this situation? There's so many different things that can be floating around in his head. But again, it's just that at the end of the day, he does not want to step up to the plate. Now, I want to make clear that doesn't make him a bad person. You know what I'm saying? What makes a person bad is them lying to you, dragging you along, leading you on. Those are unfortunate bad things. And even then, I'm not quick to call people bad people. I more so want to identify them as people who need to heal, people who have been hurt and damaged, and now hurt people. That's not to excuse it. It's just to shed some light on the fact that underneath a lot of the issues that so many people have not resolved, there is a good person there. It doesn't mean you have to go trying to peel back all the layers to find that good person. No, it's on them to heal and present that good person. I'm just speaking on the fact that that is what it boils down to in a lot of situations. But getting back to the point, it's not about him being a bad person. It's just about him recognizing what you need, he can't match it. And you have to, as a woman, understand that when you are dating a man, one, make your standards clear. Make what you desire clear. Because the sooner he knows what you're looking for and what is expected of him, and I hate to use the word expected, but what you're requiring of him in order to build a relationship or be in a relationship, the quicker we can expose if he can match that energy, if he can actually accept and embrace those things. All right. It's very easy to drag things along when we're being vague about what the requirements are. All right. Now he can just try to give what he decides he wants to give, and he can play the, well, I didn't know that's what you were looking for type of deal. Be honest, be clear. I'll give him the opportunity to see if he wants to step up to that plate. But yes, that is one of the reasons why this happens a lot. All right. So now we're going to move to number 3. And this one I had to add on the list because I don't think it's talked about enough. And I want to shed light on it. I'm not going to say this is extremely common, but it happens. It has happened to some of you, whether you realize it or not. And a third reason why a man pulls away while things are going great is because you have a bad reputation or drama surrounding you. All right. So let me put it to you like this. This, of course, is going to vary depending on certain environments. For example, this definitely would apply to a lot of college relationships, all right? Where I can't tell you how many stories of men who met a woman on campus, thought, oh my gosh, this could be it. She's amazing. Get around the homeboys and they're like, oh, you ain't know this one had her, or this one kicked it with her, or they're putting all kinds of information in his head. And at this point, he can no longer feel comfortable trying to date that woman or trying to take that woman seriously. All right. But this can't happen outside of college life. This can happen maybe if your town is small, if the person knows a lot of mutual friends and contacts, and there's information floating around about you that you may not be fully aware of. OK, which is why you got to be careful with who you let into your life and who you share things with. Not that I want you to be so scared and guarded about everyone. I also want you to be able to own who you are and the life you live. But yes, the reality is that there's a lot of haters. There's a lot of people the devil will want to work through to try to cause chaos in your life. And yes, some of that stems from people putting out information, sometimes true, sometimes false. But that information about you getting back to the man you're dating. And this is where, again, you might say, well, dang, if he heard this, why didn't he just come talk to me? Maybe I could have cleared it up. Sometimes you're told information and it puts that person in a position like, don't even bother addressing it. Just leave that person alone. Like, it's almost like if somebody came back to you and told you a bunch of bad stuff about a man, there are some of you who, if the information is bad enough, you won't even bother looking any further into it. Now, again, I'm not saying that's the way it should be handled. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm saying this is what happens. So it's one of those things you can't control. I just want you to be aware of it because it does happen. But remember, I said reputation and or drama. So that's another piece of this puzzle where, and it kind of goes hand in hand to a certain degree, because understand this. This is my personal belief. A lot of men will, if they really like a woman, will overlook certain things about her past if it's not a known past. All right. If a bunch of other people aren't talking about it and won't be clowning him or talking trash to him because now he's with you, a lot of dudes, if they really like you, just like sweep it under the rug. But it's the pressure, it's the judgment, it's the disrespect that comes from other people who know that make him more uncomfortable and uneasy with pursuing things with you. And so now when we talk about drama, sometimes, again, if you have one example that comes to mind, you have a child and your baby's father is giving you problems. There's drama with the baby's father. So even though this man likes you, thinks you're a great woman, once he learns about this ongoing drama you have with your child's father, he's in his head, he's like, I don't want to deal with this. I'm done. I'm going to leave it alone. All right. Again, it could go to family drama. It could just go to you seeming like you're always in some kind of a bind. Maybe just there's stuff going on in your life right now that seems like it's too much. And for someone who's newly coming into your life, they don't want to walk into a storm. All right. It's one thing to have been dating you, maybe in a relationship with you. We already established some things and now the storm comes. It's like, okay, well, I care about this one person enough to want to work through this with them. But when I'm first meeting you and dating you and all this stuff is going on, it's like, nah, this is too much. This is too stressful. You know what I'm saying? So what's important for you as a woman to do to help avoid that ever being a problem is just really trying to bring to resolution any drama, any issues that are around you. Of course, you can't control everything. Some things just are thrown at you and that's life. But when you can, resolve it. Because again, the same way you wouldn't want to walk into a man's mess, the man doesn't want to walk into your mess. And as I already mentioned multiple times before, a lot of people will just run rather than try to address it. Now, you notice I always encourage addressing first. I say don't run from a red flag, address it and see if it's correctable. But the reality is that a lot of people just will run because it's easier that way. So it's just another thing for you to be aware of. All right, so now we're at number 4. And this one is definitely very, very common. And another reason why men pull away while things are going great is because he's going through personal issues. All right. So here's a really unfortunate reality. A lot of men tend to shut down when things are not going well in their life, or when things are being thrown at them that overwhelm them too much. Now, for many of them, it's about not learning how to properly handle things emotionally, not learning how to effectively process things. They find comfort in isolating themselves. And the reality is that they don't just isolate from the woman they're dating. They isolate from people in general. They'll fall back from family, friends. They'll go in their own little corner to try to figure things out. Of course, this is not healthy. All right. Especially when it's not being clearly communicated. It's one thing if a man says to you, you know what, I'm going through some things right now. Give me some days, but you're not going to be here for me. I need to handle this on my own versus just disappearing. And a lot of you have experience where he'll disappear, pop back up after weeks, maybe months. And when you ask him, he'll say, I was going through some stuff. And to some of you, it may sound like BS. And listen, I'm not going to say there's never been a man who didn't use it as a cop-out, as an excuse. But it is a very real situation for a lot of men. The other thing to consider is that for some men, the issue of being more transparent about it is they don't want you to look at them a certain kind of way. So depending on what the issue is, they don't want you to lose any respect. They don't want you to see him as weak. They just don't know how this will reflect on them. So they're hesitant or they're scared to flat out let you know what's going on. Again, not okay, but it is what happens. So this is another one of those situations where you can't really control it other than establishing as early as possible how you would like for you two to handle things when issues come your way. Or even discussing with a man early on, hey, like this is a question you can ask in the dating process. How do you handle adversity? How do you handle when something unexpectedly goes wrong in your life? Are you the type to shut down? Are you more open and vocal? I think that's very good to ask because again, it is very likely, if not in the dating process, even in the relationship, that there's gonna be a moment where things are thrown his way. And if you don't know what his coping mechanisms are, then you may be thrown for a loop and you won't know what the hell is going on. And again, that just causes a lot of confusion, a lot of hurt, a lot of disappointment. So it would be great to have that discussion with men that you are getting to know so that you understand how they operate and so that we can recognize an issue before it comes about. And then we can say, well, listen, shutting down doesn't work for me. You know what I'm saying? Going ghost so that because you feel some kind of way doesn't work for me. I need you to know now that if something comes up, at the very least, you have to tell me this. Tell me you need some space. That's different if you're okay with the space or whatever agreement you guys come to. But personal issues, definitely a huge problem. And let me just mention one quick story because I remember one time where there was a guy who was dating a woman and him falling back was because he failed the bar exam. All right. So he was trying to be a lawyer. He failed the bar exam and it put him in a depression. So that's another aspect is just sometimes these men, they get depressed and in their depression, they don't want to talk to anybody. And even more so, they feel in this depression that they're having a weak moment. They don't want to present themselves to you in this weak moment. So they're not ready to show up. And again, it's not healthy, but this is what happens. So for him, yeah, he fell off for a little while because of that. He actually didn't pop back up till like months later, you know? And let me say this because some of you might say, well, should we give this man a chance after he pops back up if he does something like this? Some of you may not like this answer I'm about to give, but I'm being honest here. Yes, depending on the situation, yes. But hear me out. If it was never discussed before how we handle turmoil, then I think we can give this a consideration. If he can give a understandable explanation, understandable meaning he's actually giving you a clear answer as to what happened. He's not dancing around it and BSing you. He's keeping it real. This is what happened, right? And now he's accepting that moving forward, this cannot be the way we handle things. And other than that, everything else with him was good. Because remember, I'm talking about this is happening when things were going great with this guy. Then I think it is possible to give him a second chance. But you've got to make sure you've actually healed from how his disappearance left you feeling. All right. I'm not saying you have to give him a second chance. I'm just saying that it wouldn't be wrong to, if those things can be addressed and he's willing to move forward in a more healthy and positive manner. Hey, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to check this one out right here, and I'll see you there. He needs to have connection. Now, I usually leave the connection part to the end, but I'm gonna throw it in the middle real quick, all right? And let me say this. I'm gonna be very honest. A lot of men don't fully